I'm sitting in this godforsaken hotel room, staring at my laptop screen like it's going to explode. The cheap wine Julia brought tastes like battery acid, but it's doing its job. Next to me, she's gripping her glass so tight, I'm surprised it hasn't shattered. Are you ready for this? I ask her, my finger hovering over the play button. Julia nods, her jaw set in that determined way that reminds me why we make such good partners in this whole mess. Let's watch my husband destroy both our marriages. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. The irony isn't lost on me. 6 months ago, Julia Martinez and I were strangers. Now we're sitting here like war buddies, about to watch our spouses betray us in real time through the security cameras I installed in my own house. My name is David Blake, and I used to think I was happily married. I press play. The feed shows my living room in crystal clear high definition. My wife Sadie walks into frame, checking her phone nervously. She's wearing that red dress I bought her for our anniversary last year, the one she claimed made her feel frumpy and never wore. She looks beautiful, Julia says bitterly. I remember when Neil used to make me feel beautiful. Neil Rodriguez, my wife's boss at the advertising agency where they both work. Julia's husband of 15 years, and according to the evidence we've gathered over the past 3 months, Sadie's lover for the better part of a year. The front door opens, and there he is. Neil walks in like he owns the place, immediately pulling Sadie into his arms. They kiss with the kind of passion I haven't seen from my wife in 2 years. My stomach churns, but I keep the camera rolling. Look at him, Julia whispers, acting like some kind of Romeo. He told me he was working late on the Henderson account. I take screenshots as they move to the couch. Sadie's hands are all over him, and he's whispering something in her ear that makes her laugh. It's a sound I used to love. Now it feels like nails on a chalkboard. How long have you suspected? Julia asks. 3 months? Maybe longer if I'm being honest with myself. I zoom in on their faces, capturing every detail. Sadie started working late more often. New clothes, new perfume, that secretive smile when she texted. Classic signs I was too stupid to see at first. I found hotel receipts in Neil's jacket pocket, Julia says. When I confronted him, he said it was for client meetings. I actually believed him. We watch in silence as our spouses move toward the stairs. Sadie looks back at the camera mounted in the corner, but she has no idea it's recording. She thinks I'm 300 miles away at a conference in Boston. They're going to our bedroom, I say, my voice flat. Turn it off, Julia says suddenly. No, I keep recording. We need evidence. Real, undeniable proof. Julia reaches over and squeezes my hand. I know this hurts, David. But after tonight, we make them pay for every lie, every betrayal, every moment they made us feel like we were going crazy. I look at her, this woman I barely knew before our worlds imploded. Julia is 43, a kindergarten teacher with kind eyes and graying brown hair she keeps in a practical ponytail. She deserved better than Neil Rodriguez, just like I deserved better than Sadie. Operation Justice begins in 3 hours, I tell her, picking up my phone. You ready to burn their world down? Julia's smile is cold as winter. I've been ready for months. I dial the number for Murphy's moving company. Yeah, I need a full house move. Tonight. Emergency situation. 3 hours earlier, I had been pacing this same hotel room, waiting for Julia to arrive. The whole thing felt surreal. Meeting your spouse's lover's wife to plan revenge isn't exactly covered in marriage counseling handbooks. Julia had contacted me through Facebook after she found my number in Neil's phone. Her message was simple. I think our spouses are having an affair. We need to talk. That conversation happened 2 weeks ago in a coffee shop downtown. Julia brought a manila folder thick with evidence. Hotel receipts, credit card statements showing expensive dinners for two, even a love letter Sadie had written to Neil that Julia found in his car. I've been gathering proof for months, she told me that day. But I needed to know if you suspected anything. I had laughed bitterly. Suspected? Julia, I've been living with a stranger for a year. My wife comes home smelling like another man's cologne and tells me she's been working late. She deleted her text messages and password protected her phone. I installed those cameras to see if I was losing my mind. What do you want to do about it? She asked. I want them to pay, I said without hesitation. Not just with divorce papers and lawyers. I want them to lose everything they care about. Their jobs, their reputations, their sense of security. I want them to feel exactly as humiliated and betrayed as we do. Julia had smiled then, and I knew I'd found the perfect partner. Now, watching the moving truck pull up to my house on the security feed, I feel a savage satisfaction. Sadie and Neil have no idea what's coming. The movers are here, I tell Julia, right on schedule. We watch as 4 burly men start removing Sadie's belongings from our house. Everything she owns, everything that makes the place feel like hers, getting loaded into a truck. Her clothes, her books, her expensive kitchen gadgets, even the ugly ceramic cat her mother gave us as a wedding present. Where are you having them take everything? Julia asks. Storage unit downtown. I paid for 3 months in advance. I pull up another app on my phone. And look at this beauty. The screen shows Neil's car in my driveway, getting a very special treatment from my old boxing buddy Marcus. Marcus owns an auto shop and owed me a favor. He's currently installing a GPS tracker under Neil's bumper and doing something creative with his engine that will leave him stranded about 5 miles from my house. Is that legal? Julia asks. He's on my property without permission. I can do whatever I want to his car. I grin. Besides, Marcus is just performing routine maintenance. It's not his fault if Neil's engine happens to overheat on his drive home. Julia laughs, and for the first time in months, I feel genuinely happy. My phone buzzes with a text from Marcus. Package delivered. Your friend's ride is going to have a very bad night. Phase 1 complete, I tell Julia. Ready for Phase 2? She nods, pulling out her own phone. I've got the divorce papers ready to file first thing Monday morning. My lawyer says with the evidence we have, Neil won't get a penny in the settlement. What about custody of your kids? Emma and Jake are 16 and 18. They're old enough to choose where they want to live. Julia's expression hardens. And after they see what their father's been doing, I don't think that choice will be difficult. I start packing up our surveillance equipment. We should head back. I want to be there when they come downstairs. David, Julia says as we gather our things, are you sure about this? Once we confront them, there's no going back. I think about the last year of my marriage. The lies, the gaslighting, the way Sadie made me feel like I was paranoid and jealous for noticing her obvious affair. I think about the nights I lay awake wondering what I'd done wrong, how I'd failed as a husband. There was no going back the moment they decided to betray us, I tell her. Now we're just evening the score. The drive home takes 2 hours. Julia follows behind me in her Honda, both of us silent and focused. The highway is empty at this hour, just us and the truckers making their late-night runs. I think about Sadie as I drive. We met 12 years ago at a company party. She was funny and ambitious, working her way up at the ad agency while I built my career in finance. We bought the house in Millbrook 5 years ago, talking about kids and growing old together. When did it all go wrong? When did I become someone she needed to lie to and cheat on? Maybe it doesn't matter anymore. Maybe the only thing that matters is making sure she understands exactly what she's lost. We arrive at my house at 2:17 a.m. Sadie's car is still in the driveway, but Neil's is gone. Marcus's sabotage worked perfectly. His car's not here, Julia observes as we park. Check your phone, I tell her. I bet he's been trying to call you for the last hour. Julia looks at her screen and her eyes widen. 14 missed calls and about 20 text messages. What do they say? Car broke down, need a ride. Where are you? Call me back immediately. They get progressively more panicked. She shows me the last one. Something's wrong. David and Julia both missing. Think we've been found out. Smart boy, I say. Too bad he's not smart enough to keep his hands off other people's wives. We let ourselves in through the front door. The house feels different with all of Sadie's things gone. Emptier, but somehow cleaner. Like a weight has been lifted. Sadie is asleep in our bed upstairs. Our bed, where she brought another man while I was supposedly out of town. The thought makes my jaw clench. You set up the laptop, I tell Julia. I'll wake Sleeping Beauty. Julia nods and heads to the kitchen. A few minutes later, I hear the sound of our security footage playing at full volume. Sadie's laughter echoing through the house, followed by Neil's voice saying things no married man should say to another man's wife. I hear Sadie's feet hit the floor upstairs, then rapid footsteps on the stairs. David, she calls out, her voice confused and frightened. David, is that you? I don't answer. I just wait in the living room as she stumbles into the kitchen and sees the laptop screen. The sound stops abruptly. Oh God, Sadie whispers. Oh God, oh God, oh God. Good morning, sweetheart, I say, walking into the kitchen. Sleep well? Sadie spins around, her face white as paper. She's wearing the same red dress from earlier, now wrinkled and disheveled. Her makeup is smeared, and she looks exactly like what she is, a woman who just got caught cheating on her husband. David, I can explain. No need, I interrupt. Julia and I have been watching for hours. We got quite the show. That's when Sadie notices Julia sitting at our kitchen table, calmly sipping a cup of coffee. Julia? Sadie's voice cracks. What are you doing here? Watching my husband destroy my marriage, Julia says conversationally. Same as you, I imagine, except you were a willing participant. I restart the video. Sadie watches herself kiss Neil, her face growing paler with each second. How long? She whispers. How long have we known? 3 months of investigation. How long have you been screwing your boss? You tell me. Sadie sinks into a chair, her hands shaking. It wasn't supposed to happen. We were working late, and he was going through his divorce, and you decided to help him through it by spreading your legs in my house, I finish. Very charitable of you. David, please what? Please forgive you. Please pretend this never happened. Please continue being the idiot husband who doesn't notice his wife is having an affair. Julia stands up and walks to the window. Your moving truck just left, Sadie. I hope you enjoyed your last night in this house. Moving truck? Sadie looks around the kitchen for the first time and notices all her things are gone. Her coffee mug, her vitamins, the little decorative bowl where she kept her keys. All of it vanished. Everything you own is now in storage unit 247 on Industrial Boulevard, I tell her. The rent's paid through December. After that, it's your problem. Sadie starts to cry. Big, ugly sobs that might have moved me yesterday. Today they just sound like the noise someone makes when they finally face consequences for their actions. Where's Neil? She asks through her tears. Probably still waiting for a tow truck on Route 9, I say. Amazing how cars break down at the most inconvenient times. Julia's phone rings. She looks at the screen and smiles. Speak of the devil. Should I answer it? Put it on speaker, I suggest. Julia accepts the call. Hello, Neil. Julia, thank God. Where are you? My car broke down and I've been trying to reach you for hours. I'm at David and Sadie's house, she says calmly. We're all having a lovely conversation about your affair. Silence on the other end of the line. Neil, you still there, honey? Julia, I can explain. No need, we have video evidence of you and Sadie together. Quite explicit video, actually. David's security cameras caught everything. More silence. Then, I'm coming over. No, you're not, I say, taking the phone. You're going to stay exactly where you are until the tow truck arrives. Then you're going to go home to your empty house and think about what you've done. David, we need to talk. We needed to talk a year ago, before you started sleeping with my wife. Now we're past talking. I hang up and hand the phone back to Julia. Sadie is staring at us like we're strangers. Who are you people? This isn't like you, David. You're not cruel. You're right, I agree. The old David wasn't cruel. The old David was trusting and loyal and stupid. The old David believed his wife when she said she was working late. But you killed the old David, Sadie. What you're seeing now is what's left. By dawn, word has spread through our neighborhood like wildfire. Mrs. Patterson from next door was walking her dog when the moving truck arrived. She saw Sadie's things being loaded and started asking questions. I was happy to provide answers. Sadie's been having an affair with her boss, I told Mrs. Patterson while she stood in my driveway with her mouth hanging open. Julia and I caught them red-handed. We have video evidence. Mrs. Patterson, bless her gossipy heart, immediately called her sister, who called her book club, who posted about it on the neighborhood Facebook page. By 8 a.m., half of Millbrook knew that Sadie Blake was a cheating wife and Neil Rodriguez was a homewrecker. Sadie spent the morning crying in my living room, alternating between begging for forgiveness and demanding I take her back. I spent the morning forwarding the security footage to her family members, our mutual friends, and a few key people at the advertising agency where she and Neil work. You're destroying my life, she sobbed after I showed her the email I'd sent to her sister. No, I corrected. You destroyed your life. I'm just making sure everyone knows about it. Julia had gone home to deal with Neil, but she texted me regular updates. Served him with divorce papers. He threw them at me. Changed all the locks. He's locked out of his own house. Kids saw the video. They're staying with my sister. His mother called. She's disappointed in him. Understatement of the year. At 10 a.m., Sadie's phone rang. It was her boss, Dave Morrison. Answer it, I told her. Put it on speaker. Sadie's hands were shaking as she accepted the call. Sadie, Dave Morrison, I need you to come in immediately. We need to discuss some serious allegations that have come to our attention. What kind of allegations? Sadie asked, though we both knew exactly what kind. Allegations involving you and Neil Rodriguez engaging in inappropriate conduct during work hours. Conduct that violates our company's ethics policy. I grinned. The email I'd sent to Dave included timestamps showing that several of Sadie and Neil's encounters happened during business hours, either at the office or at hotels paid for with company credit cards. Dave, I can explain. Explanation can wait until you get here. I need you in my office in 1 hour. The line went dead. They're going to fire you, I told Sadie matter-of-factly. You sent them the video? I sent them everything. The video, the hotel receipts, the credit card statements showing company funds used for your little romantic getaways. Did you really think you could expense a weekend at the Marriott as a client meeting and no one would notice? Sadie buried her face in her hands. I'll lose everything. My job, my reputation, my friends. Yes, I agreed. You will, just like you made me lose everything when you decided to cheat. My phone buzzed with a text from Julia. Neil just got fired. Dave called him an hour ago. He's officially unemployed. I showed the message to Sadie. Looks like Neil just got the same news you're about to get. Sadie looked up at me with red, swollen eyes. I never meant for this to happen. Which part? The affair or getting caught? Any of it. I love you, David. I made a terrible mistake, but I love you. No, I said firmly. You love the security I provided. You love the house and the lifestyle and the fact that I never questioned where you were or what you were doing. But you don't love me. If you loved me, you wouldn't have brought another man into our bed. Sadie started crying again, but I was done feeling sorry for her. I had work to do. You need to leave, I told her. I'm changing the locks this afternoon, and you won't be getting a key. Where am I supposed to go? That's not my problem anymore. Maybe Neil will let you stay with him. Oh, wait, Julia changed his locks too? I walked to the front door and held it open. Goodbye, Sadie. I'll have my lawyer contact you about the divorce proceedings. Sadie stood up slowly, like she was in physical pain. David, please. We can work through this. We can go to counseling. We can nothing. There is no we anymore. There's just you, dealing with the consequences of your choices. She walked past me to the door, then turned back one last time. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know you are, I said. You're sorry you got caught. I closed the door and locked it behind her. 3 days later, Sadie tried to break into the house. I was at work when my phone buzzed with a security alert. The cameras I'd installed showed Sadie using her old garage door opener to get into the house. She was loading boxes into her car, taking things that weren't hers. I called the police first, then Julia. She's in my house, I told Julia as I drove home. Taking my stuff. What kind of stuff? Wedding gifts, electronics, anything valuable she can carry. The camera shows her going through my desk drawers. Can the police do anything? She doesn't live there anymore. It's breaking and entering. I arrived home at the same time as Officer Martinez from the Millbrook Police Department. Sadie's car was still in my driveway, loaded with boxes. That's my wife, I told Officer Martinez. Ex-wife. She doesn't live here anymore, but she broke in and stole my property. Officer Martinez nodded. Let's go have a conversation with her. We found Sadie in my bedroom, packing jewelry into a suitcase. She looked up when we walked in, her face going pale when she saw the police officer. Ma'am, I'm going to need you to step away from the suitcase, Officer Martinez said. This is my house, Sadie protested. These are my things. Actually, ma'am, according to Mr. Blake here, you no longer reside at this address. Is that correct? Sadie looked at me desperately. David, tell him. Tell him I live here. She moved out 3 days ago, I said calmly. All her belongings were removed. She has no legal right to be in this house. Officer Martinez looked at the jewelry in the suitcase. Ma'am, can you prove ownership of these items? Sadie's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Most of the jewelry had been gifts from me, purchased with my money. She had no receipts, no proof of ownership. I need you to put everything back where you found it, Officer Martinez continued. Then I need you to leave the premises immediately. But I need my things. Ma'am, if there are items here that belong to you, you'll need to go through the proper legal channels. Breaking and entering isn't the way to handle a domestic dispute. I watched Sadie unpack the suitcase with savage satisfaction. Every piece of jewelry, every electronic device, every item she'd tried to steal went back exactly where she'd found it. The boxes in your car need to be unloaded too, Officer Martinez added. Sadie spent the next hour carrying boxes back into the house under police supervision. Her face was red with humiliation, especially when Mrs. Patterson and several other neighbors came out to watch the show. Is everything all right, David? Mrs. Patterson called out. Everything's fine, I called back. Sadie just forgot she doesn't live here anymore. When the last box was unloaded, Officer Martinez escorted Sadie to her car. Ma'am, I'm going to strongly advise you not to return to this property without permission from Mr. Blake or a court order. Do you understand? Sadie nodded miserably. And Mr. Blake, if she returns without permission, call us immediately. This kind of behavior can escalate quickly. After they left, I called Julia to update her. How's Neil handling unemployment? I asked. Not well. He's been calling me nonstop, begging me to take him back. He says he'll do anything to save our marriage. What did you tell him? I told him he should have thought about that before he decided to sleep with your wife. I laughed. Any word on their job prospects? Dave Morrison called me yesterday. Apparently word has spread to other agencies in town. Sadie and Neil are pretty much blacklisted. Good. What about your divorce proceedings? My lawyer says it should be straightforward. Neil doesn't have grounds to contest anything, and with the evidence we have, he'll be lucky to get visitation rights with the kids. Speaking of the kids, how are they handling everything? Julia was quiet for a moment. Emma hasn't spoken to her father since she saw the video. Jake called him a pathetic loser and told him he never wants to see him again. It's hard watching them hurt, but they needed to know the truth about who their father really is. I'm sorry they had to go through that. Don't be. You didn't cause this. Neil did when he decided his dick was more important than his family. I was surprised to hear Julia swear. In the months I'd known her, she'd always been polite and measured. The anger was new, and I liked it. What's our next move? I asked. I've been thinking about that. What if we made sure everyone in town knew exactly what kind of people Neil and Sadie are? What do you have in mind? The Millbrook Community Festival is next weekend. Half the town will be there. What if we set up a little display, photos, documentation, a timeline of their affair? I grinned. Julia Martinez, you have a devious mind. I learned from the best. The Millbrook Community Festival happens every year in Riverside Park. Local businesses set up booths, families bring picnic lunches, and everyone pretends to care about supporting local arts and crafts while they gossip about their neighbors. This year, Julia and I had our own booth. We called it Truth and Accountability, a Community Service. Our display included a timeline of Neil and Sadie's affair, printed copies of hotel receipts, and a QR code that linked to a private website where people could view edited highlights of our security footage. This feels a little extreme, Julia said as we set up our table Saturday morning. Extreme situations call for extreme measures, I replied, hanging a banner that read, Your neighbors have a right to know. We'd positioned ourselves strategically between the Methodist Church's bake sale and the fire department's fundraising booth. Maximum foot traffic, maximum exposure. Sadie and Neil had no idea we'd be there. The first visitors to our booth were Mrs. Patterson and her sister. They read through our materials with the focused intensity of scientists studying a new species. My goodness, Mrs. Patterson said. 14 months? They were carrying on for 14 months? Right under our noses, I confirmed. While we were trusting them, believing their lies, they were laughing at how stupid we were. Word spread quickly through the festival. Within an hour, we had a crowd gathered around our booth. People were scanning the QR code, reading the documentation, asking questions about the timeline. How did you figure it out? Asked Tom Bradley, who lived 3 houses down from me. Security cameras, I explained. I installed them because I thought we might have a break-in problem. Turns out the problem was coming through the front door. What are you hoping to accomplish with all this? Asked Jennifer Walsh, who worked at the bank. Julia answered that one. We want people to know who they're really dealing with. Sadie and Neil lied to everyone, not just their spouses. They lied to their coworkers, their friends, their children. This is about accountability. At 2 p.m., Sadie arrived at the festival with her sister Kim. I saw them walking through the crowd, Sadie wearing sunglasses and a baseball cap like she was trying to be incognito. They made it about 50 feet before someone pointed them toward our booth. I watched Sadie's face go white as she read our banner. She grabbed Kim's arm and tried to steer her away, but Kim was already walking toward us. What the hell is this? Kim demanded when she reached our table. Community service, I said pleasantly. Your sister has been lying to everyone for over a year. We thought people deserved to know the truth. You're humiliating her in public. No, Julia corrected. She humiliated herself. We're just documenting it. Sadie finally approached our booth, her hands shaking. David, please. This has gone far enough. Has it? Because from where I'm sitting, you still haven't faced any real consequences for what you did. I lost my job. I lost my house. I lost my marriage. What more do you want? I want you to understand that actions have consequences, I said. I want everyone in this town to know exactly what kind of person you are. I want you to feel as humiliated and betrayed as you made me feel. A crowd was gathering around us. Sadie looked around at all the faces staring at her, some curious, some judgmental, some just enjoying the drama. You're sick, she said. Both of you. This isn't justice, it's revenge. You're absolutely right, I agreed. It is revenge, and you know what? It feels fantastic. That's when Neil showed up. He pushed through the crowd like a man on a mission, his face red with anger. Take this down, he demanded. Take all of this down right now. Or what? Julia asked calmly. Or I'll call the police. Go ahead, I said. Everything here is documented fact. We're not breaking any laws. Neil looked at our display, his jaw clenching as he read through the timeline. You're destroying our lives over a mistake. A mistake? Julia stood up, her voice rising. You had an affair for over a year. You lied to me every single day. You brought another woman into my bed. That's not a mistake, Neil. That's a choice. A series of choices. We can work through this. No, we can't. Because I don't want to work through it. I want you to suffer the way you made me suffer. The crowd around us had grown larger. I recognized faces from the neighborhood, people from Sadie's old job, parents from the local schools. Everyone was listening to every word. Neil looked around at all the staring faces, and something snapped. You want to humiliate me? Fine. But you're not innocent in this, Julia. You think you were the perfect wife? You were cold and distant for years. You stopped caring about our marriage long before I met Sadie. So that gave you the right to cheat? It gave me the right to find happiness somewhere else. The crowd murmured at that. Even the people who might have been sympathetic to Neil were put off by his attitude. Sadie tugged on Neil's arm. Let's just go. This isn't helping anything. But Neil was on a roll now. And you, he said, pointing at me. You think you're so perfect? Sadie told me all about your marriage, how you ignored her, how you took her for granted, how you made her feel invisible. If I was such a terrible husband, I said calmly, why didn't she divorce me? Why did she sneak around behind my back instead of being honest about her feelings? Neil opened his mouth to answer, then closed it, because there was no good answer to that question. I'll tell you why, I continued. Because she wanted to have her cake and eat it too. She wanted the security and stability I provided, plus the excitement of sleeping with you. She wanted to keep her options open in case your relationship didn't work out. Sadie started crying again. That's not true, isn't it? When was the last time you told Neil you loved him? When was the last time you talked about leaving me to be with him? Sadie's silence was answer enough. The crowd was completely silent now, watching this drama unfold like it was a soap opera. I could see phones out, people recording video, capturing every moment of Neil and Sadie's public humiliation. Here's what's going to happen, I announced, loud enough for everyone to hear. Sadie and Neil are going to leave this festival. They're going to leave this town, and they're going to start over somewhere else where people don't know what kind of people they really are. You can't force us to move, Neil protested. I'm not forcing you to do anything, but I guarantee you, after today, you won't want to stay in Millbrook. Every person here is going to remember this conversation. Every time you go to the grocery store, every time you go to a restaurant, every time you try to make new friends, people are going to remember that you're the cheaters from the community festival. I looked around at the crowd. Isn't that right, folks? A few people nodded. Others murmured agreement. The message was clear. Neil and Sadie were no longer welcome in this community. This is insane, Sadie said. All of this, over an affair. People have affairs all the time. It doesn't make us monsters. You're right, Julia said. Having an affair doesn't make you monsters, but the way you went about it does. The lies, the manipulation, the complete lack of remorse until you got caught. That's what makes you monsters. Neil grabbed Sadie's hand. Come on, let's get out of here. They pushed through the crowd, Sadie crying and Neil muttering angrily. I watched them go, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. Is it over? Julia asked. Almost, I said. One more thing? I pulled out my phone and called the local newspaper. Hi, this is David Blake. I have a story for you about accountability in our community. The Millbrook Gazette ran our story on the front page of Tuesday's edition. The headline read, Local Residents Expose Affair Through Community Action. The article included quotes from festival attendees, photos of our display, and a detailed timeline of events. By Wednesday, Sadie and Neil had both left town. Sadie moved in with her sister in Portland. Neil took a job in Florida, as far away from Millbrook as he could get. Neither of them said goodbye to anyone. They just disappeared like they'd never existed. Julia and I met for coffee that Thursday morning to celebrate our victory. How does it feel? She asked. Complete, I said. For the first time in months, I feel like the scales are balanced. Any regrets? I thought about that. None. They made their choices, and now they're living with the consequences. That's how justice works. Julia smiled. So what's next for you? I'm thinking about selling the house. Too many bad memories. Maybe I'll travel for a while, figure out what I want to do with the rest of my life. What about us? I looked at her across the table. Julia Martinez, my partner in revenge, my ally in justice. Over the past few months, I'd gotten to know her better than I'd known my own wife. She was smart, funny, determined, and absolutely ruthless when someone crossed her. What about us? I asked. We make a good team, she said. Maybe we should stay a team. I reached across the table and took her hand. I'd like that. We sat there in comfortable silence, two people who had been betrayed and had chosen to fight back. We'd lost our marriages, but we'd gained something else, the knowledge that we were stronger than we'd ever imagined. My phone buzzed with a text message. It was from Sadie. I hope you're happy. You destroyed my life. I showed the message to Julia, who laughed. How should I respond? I asked. Tell her the truth, Julia said. I typed back, I didn't destroy your life. I just made sure everyone else could see what you'd already done to it. Then I blocked her number. Ready to go? Julia asked. Where to? Wherever we want. We're free now, David. Free from lies, free from betrayal, free from people who don't deserve us. We walked out of the coffee shop hand in hand, two survivors who had refused to be victims. Behind us, Millbrook went about its business, but the town was different now. People had seen what happened when you betrayed someone's trust, when you thought you could lie and cheat without consequences. They had seen justice served, cold and complete, and they would remember. As we drove away from the coffee shop, I thought about the old saying, revenge is a dish best served cold. But that wasn't quite right. Revenge wasn't cold at all. It was hot and satisfying and absolutely necessary. Sadie and Neil had thought they were smarter than everyone else. They thought they could have their affair and get away with it, that their victims would just quietly accept their betrayal and move on. They were wrong. Julia squeezed my hand as we stopped at a red light. No regrets? She asked one more time. None, I said firmly. They called me the villain. I just played the part they wrote for me.